back to Fund Your Future with DRS. Today, we're trying something a little different. One of our previous guests, Christine, is here to interview me, one of your podcast hosts. We're going to talk about my experience as a host, as well as my own financial habits and whatnot. So, welcome back, Christine.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to ask you questions.
Cool. And just for the record, I am going to be 41 in May. So, still a little bit out from retirement, but starting to think about things that I want to do and where I want my life to go.
Well, it is closer in the future.
Yeah.
Than probably when you started at the state.
Yeah.
So I guess jumping right in, I would like to start with what brought you to DRS and eventually led to you co-hosting this podcast.
I guess to start, I want to say that I feel really fortunate that I grew up with parents who had tons of conversations with me about money and talked a bit about the stock market. And my dad is one of those that even at 80 years old, he still balances his checkbook and like lays out his checks on the kitchen table and
Wow.
accounts for each of them. Like my parents have never got into online banking, but they always like taught me good financial habits growing up, like having an allowance. And I remember very early on deciding to put that money away or like saving up for a particular toy that I really wanted. But I was working for the state for a while. I first started over at the Department of Revenue and was on the comms team over there and really enjoyed my time. And a couple years ago, I was looking for some other comms positions to kind of move up and elevate my career. And there was this job that opened up at the Department of Retirement Systems.
Nice.
And so I applied. And then also at the same time, it was 2021 or so, I was starting to follow more people online, like on Instagram, that were talking about financial savviness. And I started following the financial feminist, Tori Dunlap, and just really appreciated her platform of empowering women. And she has like a specific class where she basically teaches women how to invest in the stock market because she's like, you don't need a financial advisor. You can just do these stocks and not have to pay these extra fees. And so I loved it. And that's kind of what got me started in talking to other people about financial habits and things.
Nice. Has anything changed? So you said a little bit that your parents kind of set you up to be naturally financially savvy and ready for that aspect of your life. Have things changed in moving from revenue to retirement as far as your view on what your future can look like with state retirement?
I don't know if too much has changed, but I would say, I mean, just with like doing this podcast and looking at all of these little pieces of financial advice, I think I just have a better understanding of all of these things like the stock market and pre-tax versus Roth and DCP versus an IRA and all these like different savings vehicles.
Right.
Certainly don't know everything, but I definitely have a better understanding of it now than I did 4 years ago.
Good. With the podcast, you've been doing it for a little while now. Which episode or guest has influenced your personal financial habits the most?
I really enjoyed episode 47 about tips for choosing the best auto and home insurance. And that was with some folks over at the Office of the Insurance Commissioner. One of their tips that they had suggested was getting an insurance broker, and that person can kind of be the middleman about instead of trying to compare all these like auto policies. And I still get stuff in the mail about like sign up for this insurance and that car insurance, blah, blah, blah. But after we recorded that episode, a couple months later, I was talking with a friend of mine about that. And they were like, oh, yeah, I have an insurance broker. You should reach out to this lady. And so I did. And at the time, she had, done some research for us. And it was like, oh, great. You're actually with a good insurance policy. But then now, since then, we've moved and bought a new house and inherited a new car. And so I had just reached out to her a couple weeks ago, too, and said, hey, want to look at that insurance policy again? So now she's doing some research for us.
So someone to check back in with.
Yeah. I don't pay them any money. I'm not sure exactly how they get paid.
But you're not paying a fee.
I'm not paying a fee. No.
That's good.
It's in their best interest, though, to find me the best insurance policy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Has there been an episode that surprised you or maybe a topic that you were hesitant to talk about but ended up loving?
Maybe not hesitant, but the one that maybe I learned the most was actually another one that we did with the Office of the Insurance Commissioner, but it was with Tim from the Sheba program. And that one was episode 19. And also, shout out to the Office of the Insurance Commissioner because they have a podcast as well called OIC Answers.
Yeah.
But the Sheba program was basically started by a group of volunteers. This idea of kind of neighbors helping neighbors who had questions about Medicare insurance. And then so it was adopted by the Office of the Insurance Commissioner. So it became like this state-run program, but it's still all basically volunteer run.
That's
where
great.
it sounds like it's mostly volunteers, but they kind of go through a training process, but then they're available by the phone to talk to people about their Medicare questions.
Which seems to be one of the more complicated topics
Exactly.
for retirees.
Yeah.
That's-
And especially from the Department of Retirement Systems standpoint.
Right.
We get those questions a lot about, well, what about Medicare? And we're just like, you're going to have to talk to these other people.
We can put you in touch with the right people.
We don't have all the answers about healthcare, but we have some resources that we can give you.
Right. It's nice that there's additional resources to help people work through that.
Yeah.
How has hosting this podcast shaped your view of retirement or changed it, if at all?
I think I definitely think about it more often.
Yeah.
Maybe almost to the point of, I won't say obsession, but even before I started working here, I was kind of one of those people that liked to do online banking and check my budgeting online, because no matter which online budgeting software you use, you still have to go in and recategorize stuff sometimes where you're like, oh, okay, well, like this Fred Meyer purchase was for groceries, but this one was for like shopping and clothing or something. So I like to see it by
you like the detail.
the details.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite, even though I work here. That's not my role at home, and I like it that way.
Yeah.
I guess.
I know it's kind of opposite at my house. So it's like between my husband and I'm more of the one that's like checking our budget and the managing all of the finances.
I do on a higher level, but not the detailed level, just when I want to check in and make sure we're still on track. But you certainly get to a level of detail where you really know where your money is going.
Yeah.
Not just to Fred Meyer, but was that recreation purchase or my grocery bill?
I know. So like I try not to stress about it too much or like look at the numbers too much. Like once a month is enough. I'll try to like go in and then I have a separate Excel sheet that I'll plug some numbers into.
Okay. But you're not feeling like you're stressing yourself out by it. It's just a natural part of your process.
Well, it's a long story, but because we bought a house last year, our interest rate is higher on our mortgage now. And so I stress about that. But I also tell myself there's not too much I can stress about right now until the mortgage rates go down.
Right.
And then we can refinance. But
right.
So I tell myself,
I could see that too.
Don't stress about what you can't fix.
When you picture your own retirement, what does that look like?
Gosh, I think you talked about like influences from working in the Department of Retirement Systems. So I feel like I have had more time to think about what I want that retirement to look like. I'd like to try out the snowbird life for a while.
Oh, nice.
I love summers in Washington State, but the winters can be really gray.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to spend the winter in like California or Mexico or Spain or something.
So would you anticipate having like a second home in the same warm place, or would you explore more in your snowbirding to various warm places?
Yeah, maybe having a second home. My husband and I have kind of talked about that as our wish list dream of like, oh yeah, it'd be nice to have like a home in like different areas, either around the country or around the world that you could go visit.
Where you see more sun in 9 months. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
What else in addition to snowbirding?
I'd also really just love to work with kids. I could see myself working as a paraeducator at an elementary school or something like that. It's something that I don't feel like I can do right now because like financially doesn't pay the bills.
Right.
Unfortunately. But yeah, that's something I could definitely see myself doing.
That's essentially a second career.
Yeah.
Would you be going back to school for that or?
No, with paraeducators, it's more like or just working as a substitute teacher. You don't necessarily have to
Okay.
have a master's degree. It's
Okay.
if you have like a college degree.
So it could be a relatively smooth transition.
Yeah. And sometimes it can just be part-time work. Like they might only have things available for like 10 hours a week or something.
You have a really clear idea of what retirement looks like for you. So it does sound like you would be more of a downshifter than a full retiree. Is that because it's something you want to do, or is it just to help transition to not working full time anymore?
I think it's just because something I would want to do.
That's nice.
Like I would go do that now if I could financially afford it, but I can't.
No, and well, maybe I hope someone gets to check back in with you. I'll be retired before then, right?
Yeah.
Before you retire. But to find out what it's like to be showing up to work because you want to. I mean, we all enjoy our jobs here,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there is a difference in needing to work.
Yeah, yeah. I really love volunteering and like giving back to my community. So I would just, whether I'm getting paid for it or not, I would either be like volunteering in a park or a, rec
Yeah.
center or something, like just to fill my time and be with people.
Good. Is there anything else you've contemplated or are planning to do?
I mean, just traveling, I
Yeah.
don't want to travel all the time, but maybe, taking a couple big trips a year would be nice.
And we talked about this a little bit. In addition to your tracking and categorizing how your funds are being spent, what's a financial habit you have that you're proud of and one that you're still working on?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier. I'm proud that I track our budget and the net worth. I guess I didn't mention that earlier on a spreadsheet. So that's really looking at what I have in retirement, what I have in savings, and then what we have in checking account.
Yeah.
And then basically subtracting that from what our mortgage, what's the
Yeah.
remaining balance on our mortgage.
Right.
But we don't have any car payments
Nice.
or any school payments, so that's good. And then something that I'm working on, trying to find like the right balance, or not sure what word I would want to use for it, but for pre-tax versus Roth contributions. I contribute to DCP right now with, a percentage towards pre-tax and a percentage towards Roth. And I have a Roth IRA, but I want to sit down with our tax preparer this year at H&R Block and kind of talk about what's the best balance or contribution thing
Yes.
of pay taxes now versus later versus all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's an interesting conversation on when is it best.
Yeah.
And then what's something you're currently enjoying outside of work?
Last year, I started volunteering with a group that is working to remove invasive species from the local state park.
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do mostly invasive species removal, but they also do other projects with the park, like painting benches and putting up like little
That's great.
doggy poop bag stations or something.
Yes.
But most of the projects that I've been working on them with have been for like, removing invasive beach grass or
Right.
like invasive plants. And then they also raise money and then plant native plants in those places. A lot of major state parks have their own friends of group
Right.
that basically helps maintain that particular park and
Yeah.
help out with raising money and with little projects that the state can't necessarily take care of. And then I'll also mention I've been taking Spanish lessons online.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's so a class, or is it kind of self-taught?
it is basically a class.
Okay.
It's taught by this woman who runs a program. I kind of found her classes through meetup.com. I pay her like a monthly fee, and then we do weekly classes like once a week where we sit down for an hour and we just meet over Zoom. And she has like a textbook that she works out of, and she'll speak Spanish, and then I practice speaking Spanish back to her.
How's it going?
Fairly well. But I just enjoy it as a hobby.
Yeah,
It's
no.
just fun to me to learn a language.
You're busy.
Yeah.
You're very busy.
I'd started learning Spanish with Duolingo. Well,
Oh,
I started in high school, but then a couple years ago, I found the Duolingo app, which I really enjoy.
Okay.
But it's really good for teaching you like recognition.
Okay.
There's basically two sides to like learning a
Yeah.
language. First, it's being able to recognize it and like when people are speaking it and when you see it written down. That's the easy part.
Yes, no.
The harder part is being able to then form sentences and being able to carry on a conversation and form your own sentences in your head and speak them out loud.
Because you have to start thinking in a different language.
Yeah, but it's fun.
It would be fun. Maybe.
I would recommend Duolingo, but I wouldn't recommend it as your only tool.
Right.
It's great as fun alternative to what they say, doom scrolling or just, mindlessly scrolling the internet. But if you do want to be more serious about actually learning to speak a language, I would recommend something in addition to Duolingo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious if after Spanish, do you anticipate learning additional language?
Yeah, I did started the German course with Duolingo a couple years ago.
Okay.
And when I was in high school, we had some exchange students from Germany, and I think it would be fun to learn German too.
That would be fun. We'll have to start checking in and see how many languages you speak. When people tune into the podcast, what do you hope listeners are taking away from the show beyond just money?
We're assuming that most of our audience is public employees, but we just want them to know that DRS is here with a bunch of resources to help you understand your benefits and help make the most of that.
And what's next for you or the podcast? What are things that you're excited about?
Well, I'm kind of excited about this whole little interview session thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit more of a personal take, and I know that you're interviewing Seth next,
Yes.
and I'm excited to hear his episode too.
Me too. But you gave me a lot to think about because it seems like you're really well prepared for both sides of retirement, but specifically, how do you fill time?
Mm-hmm.
And I may have to talk to you more
Yeah.
about that offline so I can get a little more solid in my softer retirement plans.
I will say the fact that I don't have any kids of my own, I think has given me more time. Well, and then also, we talked about this on your episode, but then during the pandemic,
Yeah.
when we all were stuck at home going, what do we do now?
I think I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not sure that's the right reaction. But you keep yourself pretty busy.
Yeah. Because I think I've also seen other people who have not done as much with their time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that feeling of stagnant.
Right.
I enjoy learning things.
I enjoy learning things as well, but you're helping me maybe learn to start framing that learning into more productive time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Curiosity is good.
Yes.
Either following what you're curious about. I would recommend if there's something that strikes your fantasy, kind of look into it, because the internet actually is a very good resource.
It is.
All kinds of videos that you can find from people doing similar hobbies.
I've learned a lot in baking in particular from
Yes.
videos because sometimes a recipe just really can't describe what you need to be doing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to come ask you questions.
Yeah, thank you. This
I
has
have
been
more
fun.
now. Until next time. Thanks.
Thanks for listening, and now we'd love to hear from you. What topics would you like to hear about? What questions do you have for us? Send an email to drs.podcasts@drs.wa.gov. That's drspodcasts@drs.wa.gov. The Department of Retirement Systems provides this podcast as a public service, but it's neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of DRS policy. References to any specific product or entity do not constitute an endorsement or recommendation. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by DRS employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the view of DRS or any of its officials.